Hello. I'm just doing the sharing. Sharing is caring. How is your Sunday? How is your Sunday? Okay. I was like, making sure I'm doing everything. Where is she? Just give me a second while I share. Hi, honey. And I am live on multiple channels. Okay. Where in the world are you? Where are you coming? Where are you joining me from? How's that? As we come together and gather today, where are you gathering from? Oh, how do I go back to that? I think if we resume, okay. I don't know what I did, but I knocked myself right out of my own live. So I'm in Alberta, and I don't know if that, like, where exactly you are, but we've been getting a lot of crazy weather lately. A lot of crazy weather. So I'm just sharing out my live to, oh, that's what happened. Aha. And now no. How are you? Hi, Rosa. How are you? I'd stop. So when you're sharing it out, there was this little thing and I would hit it and then it would take me right out of the live. I don't know what it was that was popping up, but I did notice it. So now we're good. Sometimes, there's some things that can just be amazing and a specific, like I love a warm cup of tea. Hi, John. How are you? So what are you looking for when you're on your TikTok thing? What you looking for? You looking for turkey? Turkey neck? Nice. I appreciate you. I'm sure you're perfect. I'm sure you're just the most amazing, wonderful example of perfect human. Right? Yeah, I'm sure. And you're blocked. Chrissy, where are you? I saw you come in, I think. Hello, hello. There. Hello. Just giving it a little bit for people to tune in, for tuning in. Crazy dog mom, I can get behind that. Mm-hmm. I have one, and that's because I'd have more. I'd have more. How many dogs do you have? And is like what type of breed? Hello, guys. Tammy the Batty. And Jermaine Scott. Stone Man. Nice. So yeah, I talk about healing and spirituality. Aww. I hope it's for good reasons. I mean, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have one, and I think about getting a second one. Um, but now's just not the time, or else I would. I think that there can't really be too many dogs, but I mean, when you have one, you should have two. That's, you know, and it's not necessarily even for you, it's for them. So I was saying actually about how what I do in my lives is we talk about spirituality, we talk about consciousness, we talk about the truth, we talk about healing, we talk about nervous system stuff. I I love it. I call mine a baby doggo. That's what I bug him, like, because I want him to stay as young as possible. He's a mixed breed that I rescued. And we think, like when you think about what breeds he has, it's probably a little bit of German Shepherd, Pit Bull, Lab, maybe Beagle. I don't know. But he's just a whole bunch of love is what he is. And is my totally best friend. Because I mean, why not? He's adorable. Yeah. Yeah, we are blessed with our fur friends. Oh, I like that question. Advice I wish I heard as a 20-year-old girl. Oh my goodness. I had a really crazy life. I experienced a lot of trauma. And when I turned 20, I had just had my second child. I dropped out of high school. I re-entered into high school. Then I was asked to leave high school because of my baby, because I got pregnant and they thought that I was a bad influence. I was showing up to school every day. I had a baby at home already. And, like I was in a relationship. I was like living with my partner and I went back to school so I could get my high school diploma. And I could tell you a whole bunch of stories. I dropped out of school when I was 16. Hi, Abby. When I'll get to that before. I knew that like part of I think what I would have liked to have just known is that it absolutely was all going to work out. That in the end it's all going to work out, right? And I think that a lot of us need that hope. Yeah. One of the things that I've learned is that being an adult, being an adult sucks sometimes, right? Yesterday about being an adult, and I was just mad. And there was a part of me that was like, man, I wish there was another adult that could just do the adult things for me for just this moment. And I can just not do the adult things, right? And there has to be a balance within your life. We shouldn't be doing those. You shouldn't be worrying about those. That's my own personal opinion, but it's because I think that the current system needs to be revised, refined, redone, corrected, fixed. I don't know. We could use a whole bunch of words, but I'm pretty sure that every one of us could agree that it doesn't matter where you are in the world. What's going on politically is insane. And then what's going on weather-wise. To give you an example, so I live in Alberta, and I was talking about this a little bit earlier about the weather. I live in Alberta, and we have had severe weather this summer, if you can even call it that. We started off with a really cold, cool spring. And then it started raining. I think it started raining at the end of May, and it really hasn't let up at all. But that's not the problem. Okay. We've had wet years before, and just like everybody else does, and you have drought years, and it's just a cycle. It's cyclical. But this year I have had 8 tornado warnings. That's not normal. Like, people think that, oh, Alberta, it's the prairies, so it probably does get a lot of tornadoes, but we don't. We get maybe 1 tornado warning a year, and sometimes not even, right? It depends on the year. If it's a dry year, then, there's not as much. This has been crazy. Like, yesterday, I thought there was going to be a tornado here. It was so bad outside. I was watching this supercell build, like looking like it was right there. And a tornado touched down outside of Edmonton yesterday. From that, it just, luckily for me, the wind blew it that way, and it kept right on going, and it made it past Edmonton. And I think there was only and I prayed too. I was like, please, 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 wherever that thing lands, please make sure that, it takes the path of least resistance, and that no lives are lost. And no lives were lost. So, but I mean, Edmonton was just pummeled with rain and wind. There's videos of Commonwealth Stadium, because they had Post Malone and Jelly Roll were performing last night, and they actually had to shut the concert down. They had the alarms going with the stay in place, and it was just like, wow. I like the it's a big question. Do you have advice for dealing with hyper independence? Okay. That is a deep question. That is a lot of a question. Let me think, because I just want to finish up. The weather is just being crazy, right? So there's a lot going on. So when we're looking at like taxes and stuff like that, with everything that everybody's doing, and I'm sorry, but after the Epstein files dropped and we found out exactly what the upper echelons are all doing, we should have all just stopped. We should have all said, I don't support that system. We are not participating in it anymore, and just walk away. And people, I know, we all talk about, well, we need to eat, we need to work, we need money, right? Because that's the current system that we're in, but only because that's what we're allowing, right? If we got into where we need to, you would go back to the situation of bartering for services. I mean, ideally, and the way that it should be, is that we shouldn't have to pay for anything that's a necessity of life that is provided to us from the earth. So the fact that somebody else decided they can take it and then sell it to you, even though it was provided by the earth for free, is insane. And we're not supposed to. We're not supposed to be doing that. So, all right. Somebody else asked a question. Is Abby, are you still there, or did you leave? Because I might have taken a bit before I got to your question. So if you're still here, let me know, and I'll ask hi. You will, honey. Right? How old are you? I feel like you're not like my age. I feel like you're younger than me. Hi, Hannah. How are you, lovey? And there's a reason why I asked, but because I just think about, I feel like, if I went through my whole life story, like, I've had so many different things that happened to me, and crazy things. Well, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to. Never divulge anything that you don't feel comfortable sharing. And it's okay. I have an estimate in my mind. And like I was saying earlier, but when I was asked about what advice would you give a 20-year-old? Well, when I was 20, I started working when I was 14, dropped out of school when I was 16, Had 2 kids by the time I was 20, went back to school. I didn't ever graduate high school, but I got into college through the mature student program. And plus I had really good grades when I was in high school. I have now nine years of post-secondary education. I was a registered nurse for over 20 years. I grew up very poor, moved back and forth across the country from Ontario to Calgary, like to Alberta to British Columbia, Ontario, British Columbia, Ontario, British Columbia. Like it was like all over the place. We moved sometimes 3 times in a year or more. Like it was insane. By the time I graduated high school, well, I didn't graduate high school, but by the time I left my home, or became an adult, let's say, by the time I became an adult, I think I'd moved about 50 times, and that's an estimate. So sometimes we make our lives harder than it needs to be. Whenever something comes up and it keeps revisiting you and you keep revisiting it, that's giving you an opportunity to see that pattern, to see what's coming up and go, wait a second, how am I contributing to this? What is it about me that is creating this situation over and over and over again? When I had my awakening moment, in a way, like when I was in my nursing career, and I was working as the director of nursing and part of senior management. So I was the direct manager of the emergency department, acute care, and palliative. Plus I oversaw secondary to the long-term care unit. I was responsible for education, like all kinds of things. When I ended up burning out from that, I ended up getting diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I ended up having to take a leave of absence because I was getting so depressed and anxious. And plus I was really having a hard time functioning. They had determined that they wanted to put me in a wheelchair because my mobility was so compromised. I left that and did a medical leave. And when I took that medical leave, I realized that my problem was trauma. At the end of the day, I was running so hard away from all the trauma. I was overworking, and you go between, right? You go between doing things that you're maybe getting some kind of appreciation for, you're getting some kind of feedback or connection or, validation or feeling valued, right? So for me, because I always was really studious. Like when you have a really crappy home environment, it's very easy to find a safe space in school, right? And if you're lucky, you do. Not everybody does. Many people who have trauma, they end up getting diagnosed with all kinds of things like oppositional defiance disorder, like all kinds of things. Many of the stuff that we get diagnosed with, all of those things with acronyms, are typically because we either have trauma, which has altered our system, right? Like your nervous system is such a fantastic part of your system. It's listening, and it's picking up information the whole entire time. So for someone like me, when I was in my mom's belly, she was being abused. And what that did is it crisscrossed, applesauced my nervous system. So when I got really, really stressed, and that's what showed up when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, what ended up happening is that I actually have what's called functional neurological disorder. And that's because of the extreme trauma that I experienced in utero, plus the extreme traumas that I had as a baby. And so when I get super stressed, my nervous system manifests a disease, right? And in this case, it was MS. So I had all the symptoms. I even had plaque, and I have plaque in the region of where MS resides. So everything came back positive for MS until they did some of the other studies. And when they went really deep into the studies, they're like, we don't actually think you have it. And that's when that functional neurological disorder was revealed. And so we do this to ourselves, right? That's how lupus is, developed, is through us doing those things. Fibromyalgia, there's so many disorders that are misdiagnosed because it's really just a matter of an over when you don't manage your traumas, you're storing the energy from them. And that energy is creating disease, it's creating pain, it's creating a whole bunch of things for us. So the one thing that we have to work on is comes to the nervous system, right? It comes back to the nervous system. And there is logical stuff that you have to do. Like there's stuff that that's the top down. Is when we do talk therapy or we work on anything through the brain, then we're doing a top-down approach. When we do it through the body, we're doing a bottom-up approach. That's what somatic experience would be the bottom-up approach. So I know I don't even think I answered your question fully, but I did give you a lot of information on a bunch of different things. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is look at what other people did to us and realize that that was mistreatment and how should we have been treated so that we can provide that for ourselves. And most of us have to learn how to manage our emotions because nobody taught us to be emotionally mature, unfortunately, because they weren't emotionally mature. We have to understand how when we get triggered, we are responding through our trauma window. And when we're responding through that, then we are often acting the age that we were at the time the initial trauma occurred. So there's a lot of times when you can think about somebody freaking out and you can actually see them almost like looking like a toddler, right? Where they're like flipping a table or they're smashing their right? And you look at them and you're like, they're having a tantrum. They look like a 3-year-old. And that's because they were 3 at the time when that injury happened. So they are back in that space of that trauma and they're reacting in that same way. The thing is it's not the same situation. It's just brushing up against it. And the situations that we're experiencing can brush up against those things in so many ways. Sometimes it's obvious. If you've been sexually abused and somebody sexually abuses you, that's obviously it's going to re-traumatize you or trigger you. But what happens is when we're traumatized, our nervous system and our whole energy body, right? We have 7 energy bodies. Every single one of them is categorizing what's happened to us and they're taking little bits and pieces of it. And I'm going to lose my train of thought. I need to drink tea. I need a sip of tea. Yeah, I did. I bumped out of it. I really appreciate you too. I appreciate the question, right? So when we're looking at those triggers and we're going, that's what I was getting to. I found it. I found my spot. So when our nervous system does that, if you were traumatized, you take the snapshot. And so you're recording smells, you're recording sounds, you're recording textures, you're recording everything that your senses or AKA your nervous system is picking up from the environment during the trauma. So if somebody in the sense of, and if it's hard for anyone to hear when I say sexual abuse, then just let me know and I don't want to trigger anyone. And that can be sometimes really challenging for people. So anyway, with that situation, and I'm talking from experience, okay? So I've had multiple experiences of that, multiple. And so one of the things that I had was a smell because one of the perpetrators smelled like Old Spice. So if I would smell Old Spice, I would go into a trauma response, right? I would get triggered and I would go into fight or flight because that smell was associated with that trauma. This can happen without you being aware because that's the beauty about it is that your conscious doesn't have to be aware that the subconscious trauma is being triggered right now. You have to catch it as soon as you realize it, right? So when I would experience that, say out in public and I would get a panic attack, which, I had panic disorder. So when I would get the panic attack in the store, because if somebody walked past me smelling of Old Spice, I would just set off. I would make myself a deal that I had 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That's all I had to do. I had to stay in place. This is stress tolerance. I had to stay in place for 2 minutes. And if I couldn't get myself back to a grounded space and I didn't feel safe and I would just leave my cart. I'm sorry. I'm going to just leave my cart and I'm out the store. I give myself full permission that my safety and getting myself to a spot where I can get to safety is more important than, social duty of returning items or putting the cart back or doing any of that. Nope. And I would go. So if you have an experience like that, make yourself some kind of similar thing, right? Your safety is more important than anything. Right. And that's what we're ideally looking for. Our nervous system is constantly seeking safety and connection. So we do all kinds of things to be safe and get connection. And when we are not healthy inside, then we turn around and we look external to us to find those things. So we're trying to find, that connection or that love or value. Hi, Chiti. Sorry. I don't know why I couldn't say your name, but okay, I'll explain that too. I'll explain that. I might have to explain that now because I don't remember where I was and what I was saying. Okay, so to start with, where did I learn all of this? I learned it through living it. I learned it through working through it. One of the things that I'll tell you about me is I love learning. I love growing. I love evolving. I think that, that's what we're here for. So, I was somebody, like I said, I was born to a family on welfare, and I was not in a good financial position as a child. Like, we were poor. I talked about this on another episode where I said, we'd go to school with bedroom furniture and we'd come home at night and it'd be gone because it was repossessed because my parents had it on payments and they failed to make the payments. So you'd come home to no bed, no bedroom. Like, you'd just be like it sucked. Midnight moves, being shuttled all the way across the country and back again. Like, it was not good times all the time, for sure. So lived experience. I also was a nurse for over 20 years. And then after I went through my healing journey, which illuminated the fact that the medical system failing people, in hindsight, looking at it, we aren't looking at curing people. We're not looking at healing people. What we're looking at is keeping customers. They are, and we used to call them patients and stuff like that. And then the terminology changed and we're supposed to call them clients. And in that, it turns it into that type of a relationship. I much prefer calling them patients because that made me look like I was going to be caring for or nurturing or nursing a patient instead of interacting with a client. It changed, the relationship changed in that. But when I went through my healing journey, I realized, like, I didn't get healed through the regular system. When I went off, I did occupational health. I had a neuropsychiatrist, the full MS team. I had rehab, occupational health services. I also had my own psychiatrist, I had another psychiatrist, a regular psychiatrist. I had my own psychologist. I did group work. I did everything that they asked me to do. I took all the pills. I did all the programs. I did all the stuff that they wanted. And I did it really well because I wanted to get back to work because work was safe. I could outrun my traumas there. I didn't have to sit with them. I was like, let's get back to work. And plus work was money, right? And, you know, I've been poor pretty much my whole life. So I'm, you know, I needed money to be flowing into the house like many other people do. So I was anxious to get back to work. And unfortunately, because of all the medications that were being jammed down my throat, I was too sedated to be able to drive or to be able to work. And I was thinking, here I am. I've like worked my whole life. I've got this 20-year career and I'm going to have to walk away from it because of this, because they can't get it straightened out. Like I'm panic attacks. Like I would call them black mirrors. So I have a lot of repressed stuff. And that makes sense when you talk about SA trauma. And also physical abuse. So we block that out on purpose because our child brains are not capable of coping with what we're experiencing. So our minds are beautiful for saying, we're just going to not even remember that. We're going to just put that in a black box and you're just going to forget about it. And, so I would wake up with black mirrors because it would just be all the feeling of what was being experienced, but no visuals. So black mirrors is what I called them. And, you know, so I couldn't function. And it came to a point where they're like, we're going to lift up the medications. We're going to drop them down. We're going to do this. We're going to move them all around. And I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. You can take all of those medications. We're going to slowly move them, remove one after the other. And when we're to the point where I feel different, then we'll reassess the medications. And lo and behold, we ended up removing them all. So I removed all the medications and I took my health into my own hands. I started looking at, what am I putting into my body? How am I moving my body? What is my sleep like? What are my relationships like? How is my job really? And I found out my job was super toxic. That was one thing that the whole thing revealed to me, is that it was just an unhealthy work situation. And so I started my own company at that point because I'd done all of this healing and I'd taken all of these courses around trauma because I decided I was going to be an expert in trauma because that's what I had. So it's no different than had the diagnosis actually being multiple sclerosis, I would have become an expert in that too, because that's what patients do, or that's what people that have those things do, right? You need to know, you're experiencing it on the inside. You want to know all the information that goes along with it. So yeah, I don't know if I answered the question because I answered a lot, but I'm sure that that was good information regardless. Hello. How are you, True? True Blue, I love you. Did you have any questions? I can pull a couple of cards today. I haven't done any cards today. I do make my own cards, my own astrology and tarot cards. I do a lot of things. Whoa. I'm going to pull a collective one. I don't know if I'm going to give out tarot cards today or oracle cards today. Oh, yes. Thank you, Izzy. I'm sorry. You're right. I didn't. All right. Back up here. So when we have hyper independence, it's because we more than likely had to be adults at very young ages, right? We were not, we didn't have our needs met, so we don't expect anyone to meet our needs. And in order to move beyond that, you have to allow yourself the opportunity to be vulnerable and allow somebody else to offer you that opportunity to help you. It can be in very small steps though, right? And protective dominance. So oftentimes the anger that we're feeling is not necessarily directed at other people. Sometimes when we get angry, it's because we're angry at ourselves for not upholding our boundaries, or we're angry at ourselves because of whatever the situation is, right? And it could be tied to past, right? So there could be a resentment portion that's there. There could be that you're holding guilt for something or shame for something that needs to be released, right? There's a lot of different ways that I could help you. That's the crazy part of it. What I would really like, Izzy, I offer a free 30-minute call on my website. And if you want to, we can sit and talk, and then that way there I can give you a more direct answer to you, and you'll be able to like converse back and forth. Completely free. We do it through Zoom. Yeah. I was like, did I do it with other ones? No, I think it's just Zoom. Ooh. Does that make sense to you? My mom got married at 15, and then she had my brother at 16 and me at 17. I did well not having my children till 18, given her record. Yeah. So you become, and I'm the same way. That's why I don't know if you were here when I was talking about it, but I said how I had a little bit of a meltdown yesterday because I was like, I don't want to be the adult. I want someone else to come in an adult for a change. I don't want to clean up after anybody. I don't want to even clean up after myself. I was just like, why can't someone else come and be the adult? That's where I was. And that's from childhood, right? That's from childhood of like, like I still think about how many times I've said to my mom, like, why can you not be an adult? Why do I have to parent you? Right? So maybe you know that experience as well. Right. And then when we have that experience, it's important to be compassionate to ourselves, right? And going to tenderness, right? Like being very tender, because we probably could have used some tenderness and, a little, and play, because that's a big thing that we missed out on, right? So find things that are very joyful for you, even if it's something that you're revisiting from childhood. I'm doing a healing program. Okay. I'm doing a couple of things. I'm going to do announcements now just because it's a perfect time to talk about them. So in August, about the third week in August, I'm running a small course. It's called Return to Center. It has a whole bunch of practical tools that you get. So somatic practices, journaling prompts, grounding practices, mindfulness activities, like all kinds of different stuff like that. And the whole purpose of this is it's 1 week, it's 7 days, 7 days straight of about an hour a day, where I'll give you some education around it. And then I give you all the tools. It comes with a bonus PDF packed full of like extras. So this is starting about the third week of August, and it's called Return to Center. And this is something that you walk away with. So you have a toolkit that you can then use so that it'll return you to your center. It'll return you to the present moment. It will return you to a space of clarity, because when we are triggered or we're in our alternative states, like fight, flight, fawn, and all of those, we are, that's just like, I'm just impressed with my brain today. I am so impressed with it, just like magicking things out of it today. Jeez. It'll come back to me though. I get channeling and then I read something and then and then oftentimes that'll pop it out of my head. So it's just, and then because I'm channeling, I have to wait till it comes to me what I was actually saying. I do know we need to play. Yep. Yeah, I actually, here, I'll read you. So I like to, I write, this is my, so these are my channeled messages. I write them every morning. I channel a collective message, and then I have a book that I channel just messages to me, message from me to me. And yeah, so when I channel, all I do, and you can do it too, everybody can. This isn't, you just need to learn how to do it. That's all. And I love to teach, so I'll teach you that. Everybody can channel. The thing that you want to do is allow yourself to get into what I call state, which just means that you want to be connected to the present moment. You want to kind of, not really, like, you won't hear things as clearly, right? Like when you get into the present moment, everything's not going to be as the same volume in your house, right? You get calm and you're really, really present and within yourself. And then you ask either a question, you can ask a direct question, or you just, you can ask for a general message. And what we end up having to do when we're doing this is we have to work past our self-trust issues. Because oftentimes, and I've done it too, I was talking about this the other day, that when I channel, sometimes I'll get in it, like it'll come in and it'll say something, and just to give it an example, right? It would come in and it would go something like quantum physics. And I'd be like, I can't write about quantum physics, right? Like, so I second guess myself but it's not me that's writing it, right? Like it's channeling through. And if you think about, if you're channeling from your oversoul is linked to the Akashic records. It's linked to it has the past, the present, the future, like it knows it all. So you're not limited to what your own knowledge is when you're channeling. The other thing is sometimes we'll do a channeled message and we'll be talking to our higher self, and okay, this is one of the channeled messages from me to me. I don't read my personal messages too much, but I'll read a little bit of this one. So this is the one that I channel. There is a mother in all of us, just like there is a father. We have had soft, safe, loving experiences, and we've had the opposite, as you well know. Each mother energy is rising and inherently wants to protect the children. And the beauty of the divine feminine rising is that it will cause the rise of the divine masculine too. It will rise to meet her, to become her equal. Those who are honoring the truth of their feminine and masculine energy will be the way showers for others. They will pave the way of Heros Gamos and sacred union in relationship. And they will display what honorable living, sacred relationship with self and other is like. The leaders of the new earth will be balanced, will be aligned with their oversoul, and two holes become the third energy, which is the flower of origin. And so when I enter into sacred, so everybody has masculine and feminine energy. This is why I talk about, I do healing and awakening. Okay. So those are the two things that I love to teach about. I study consciousness. I'm a lifelong student. I love learning, which means I love teaching. I love teaching what I learn. Like, get me going on topics, and man, oh man, I'll just keep going. If my girlfriend was here right now, like Carol, she's my moderator. If she's here right now, she would be like, oh yeah, it's like a walking encyclopedia is what my other friend says. So, but I love teaching, and I love helping people reconnect to themselves. I love it when people return to who they are and they remember. And when we start to realize, like, we do not have to hold on to the traumas. We actually should let them go. We should decide from this moment on, we're going to let all that stuff go and work beyond it. And it's possible for everybody. It's not something that is just for one person. Everybody has the potential to Do the nervous system work so that you can feel safe, and that will open up your capacity to handle more. Looking at your window of tolerance and expanding that. I like to talk about the nervous system from the aspect of we should be having every day be doing something to make sure that your nervous system is as grounded as you possibly can. And the reason why is if you start out at the ground floor, that means you have the whole space to go before you're blowing your top. Many of us have been stressed out for so long, we don't even realize that we're not very often in rest and digest. Like we spend most of our time in an altered state, like slightly triggered, slightly stressed. And we need to bring our elevator down because those people that aren't aware of it, like even me, before I did my healing journey, my stress level was probably running around here consistently. Right. So some days I felt like I had a lot of room and then other days I didn't. So I would either be wanting to cry or you're getting mad or something's happening. Right. And that's us trying to wake ourselves up, that let us know, hey, like this is happening. Like, hello, wake up, wake up. Those are our patterns. Those are the things that are saying you need to look at this. You need to understand it. Cool. Wow. That was a very inappropriate comment, and I'm not going to share it on the live because that's just wow. Wow. That's an instant blockaroo. Wow. So after August, every September, because September is when school's back in session. Every September, I run an 8-week course called Return to Self. And this is where we meet. One week we meet one session, and the next week we meet 2 sessions. So it's so you get 3 sessions every 2 weeks. And you don't have to attend all 3 sessions. It's not necessary. It's just the way that I do it. So each week you have a session where you're going to learn about a specific aspect of your trauma, your nervous system, the healing. You're going to get tons of tools to use. You're going to walk away with it with the solid foundation that whatever's coming at you in life, you're going to have a whole bunch of different ways in which to manage those and keep yourself safe and connected. So the 3rd session, the extra session, it's actually an integration session, but I also have it open as, let's say you can't attend the sessions live, but you watch the replays. On Saturday, when I do the 3rd session, you can show up and ask questions about those lives, and I will answer them so that you still feel like you can have that feedback. That's a great way to honor the fact that it's really hard to make a class that's at the perfect time that everybody can attend every single one. So by having that Saturday question period plus integration session, it just means that you're going to get more from it, right? And like everything, whatever class you take, whatever education you take, you're going to get what you put into it. And the same thing with your healing. If you do the work, if you do the breathing, if you get up in the morning and you meditate, you do the mindfulness stuff, if you look at your diet and you remove all the toxins from it, or that's the practical stuff that you have to do. That's the day-to-day stuff. Most people fail because they're not willing to do the change that is necessary. They want an instant fix. And unfortunately, the instant fixes aren't actually fixes, right? There's a lot of stuff that has to be actually embodied. Why? Because we're human beings in a body, right? A lot of times people will promote spirituality as a way to escape being human, but that's not what we incarnated on Earth for. We didn't incarnate here into a body to then escape it. No, we incarnated into the body to merge our spirit with the physical form, and then that's how we create heaven on earth. And we're meant to treat our body as a temple of light, because it is your temple of light. It's holding your spirit, your light. So that's your temple of light. And that's my free group. It is the temple of light, because that's what it is. So when you're thinking about your life, think about, how can I take care of myself the best? We all know what we need to do, right? You know that breathing is good. You know that getting good rest is good. You know that eating the proper foods is good. You know, hydrating yourself is good. We know moving our body is good. We know nature is good. You know, we know getting sunshine. I mean, a lot of us have been lied to, and some of us believe the lies that we've been told. And we've, you know, so many people have demonized nature that so many of us are like, yeah, just let me stay inside this building with air conditioning and, you know, icky bugs and icky dirt and icky, ooh, right? When we become detached from that, when we become separated from that, which is insane because we are nature as well, we are natural. When we disconnect from that, then we lack the connection that allows us to want to protect it. We stop being stewards of the earth because we don't see ourselves as a part of it. We see ourselves as separate from it. And that's a dangerous thing. So we need to work on that, you know, just understanding. We know the truth inside of ourselves. We truly do. And when you sit with it, you know that, you know, the dyes and all the toxins in the foods, you know, the pesticides, you know, the stuff that we shouldn't be eating, right? If arsenic's bad for you and can kill you, you're not going to go and take a teaspoon a day, whatever the volume would be. I'd have to look at how much would kill you, but right, you're not going to go and take a there's my arsenic for today, because it's not going to kill me at that volume. We'll just see if it kills me eventually, right? We're meant to make better choices, right? Like, to be adults, as much as, like I said, I was having I wish someone else could be an adult for a bit. But we need to be adults and be like honest about like the way that the world is going is not right. Right? We need to be, you know, when we're literally considering dropping all kinds of centers all over the place that are going to increase the temperature, increase the hydro, destroy the water, increase the noise level, decrease the animals and how much they are, you know, having, because it makes the animals not have sex. Like, it makes the animals not procreate. And, you know, we're not, so why is anyone supporting that? Why is anyone supporting that? Why would anybody want that? Why would even the person that has a company want that? Because people have become so detached from Earth that they don't think they need to support it or they need to protect it, right? It's just land. It's just dirt and rock. No, it's a living being. It's an extremely intelligent and powerful ecosystem. When you look at air, right, the air element, when you look at the water element, fire element, earth element, and then the ether element, which is the unifying field of consciousness that's connecting everything, including you, me, and all life. It's just, we need to become stewards of the earth, and we need to value ourselves. The more that you value yourself, it's not about being, you know, narcissistic or any of that stuff. It's about understanding that your life is valuable, and the best way that you can take care of that is by doing the things that you know are right for you and are healthy for you. I was thinking on the weekend about, you know, how much garbage we put into our systems, and garbage, like we watch garbage television. We watch, we listen to garbage music, saying the most horrendous things. We eat terrible food. We eat food that hasn't even seen the light of day, completely made in a factory. Like, why would we do that when the earth provides everything that we need? We don't, you know, like I mean, I'm somebody that definitely goes outside and spends a lot of time in nature because I work with it. I have sacred relationship with it and with all the elements. But a lot of people don't. And that detachment is scary. It's scary for the future. Like, we need to come back to that. There, that was a pretty good chitty chat. Yeah, almost an hour. Almost an hour. Hi guys, how are you, Ken? Hi Patsy. Yeah, Missy. How are you doing? Where are you tuning in from? Hello. Hi, Lisa May. I don't know if you're still there, but there. Hi, Misha. Hello, hello. All right, I have a tarot card that I want to show, but if no one's going to be here, I'm just going to keep holding on to it. All right. The Five of Water. I'm trying. Oh, there. Trying to get in the right spot. All right. This is release and emotional healing. Upright, it's emotional loss, regret, disappointment, grief, focusing on what is gone rather than what remains, and it's an opportunity for healing. The Five of Water teaches that loss is a part of the human experience, but it does not define you. Even in the darkest moments, light remains. Look for the hidden blessings and trust that healing is taking place. Okay. Did that resonate with you? Hi, Tyrone. Uh-huh. All right. The Three of Air, the lightning of truth, heartbreak, deep realization, necessary pain, emotional clarity, acceptance, and release. Though the Three of Air brings discomfort, it is also the card of liberation. It is the storm that clears stagnation, making space for renewal. Trust that what is revealed is meant to set you free. And then the Ten of Air. Completion, surrender, the final lesson learned, release of old patterns, and the light after darkness. The Ten of Air is the death of an old identity, the breaking of an illusion, and the dawn of true clarity. This is not an end, it is a rebirth. Surrender to the divine flow and trust that light ahead is guiding you home. Okay. So whoever that, like, these cards were for, it sounds like there was a lot, like there was a relation, let's say a relationship loss. There was something like there was a loss of somebody, some relationship at some point. The lessons learned though, and you're walking away free and clear. You're like, I know this is enough. This isn't, I'm done. I'm done. That's enough. That's enough. Thank you very much. Moving on. And it's painful and maybe tender right now, but at the end of the day, healing's taking place and you're going to be much better off from it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hello. Mm-hmm. How are you doing, Frog Bud? Do you have a frog bud? All right. I think I'm going to talk a little bit about somatics, and maybe that's enough I want to talk about. All right, so I'm going to talk about somatics for a little bit, and then that's it. That's the way it's going to go. All right, so somatics, if you're not aware, somatics is the architecture of sound. It reveals the invisible architecture that sound creates. When pure tone moves through a medium like sand, water, plasma, crystal grids, it organizes matter into sacred geometric forms. These forms are not just visual aesthetics, they are encoded blueprints of consciousness. They are living maps of dimensional laws and activators of memory and field alignment. What you see through somatics is what the Christic tone is building in unseen realms. This is how Source creates form from formlessness. Somatics and dimensional harmonics. Each dimension has a sound signature. Sure. Each dimension has a sound signature, and somatic geometry acts as the field imprint of that dimensional frequency. For example, 3D sound fields form simple radial or polygonal shapes. 5D sound fields produce complex star fractals and spirals, and 12D plus sound fields form living Merkaba matrices, often only visible in plasma-based media or through your inner sight. Your body responds to these shapes instinctively because they are made of these harmonics. Somatics and elemental fields. Each element expresses distinct somatic geometries. Water reveals flowing mandalas and vortex spirals. Fire or plasma forms wave plume matrices, harder to visualize but felt as kinetic surges. Air disperses somatics in breath-patterned rhythms, subtle but widespread. Earth responds with crystal grid activations, particularly when quartz, clay, or sand are used. And ether emerges in this synthesized union of all elements, visible only when a field becomes coherent enough to hold trans-dimensional geometry, seen in plasma chambers or sacred ceremony. Somatics as soul language retrieval. Sound sigil technology is a somatic translator of soul codes. Each sigil, a sound map of divine word, a vibrational command that alters the field, and a memory key that unlocks oversoul fragments. As you speak, tone, or chant each phrase aloud, you are not just expressing, you are restoring broken field structures and rebuilding divine architecture in real time. The lost somatic temples. In Lyran, Atlantean, and original Earth civilizations, somatic temples were constructed to resonate a precise planetary tone into the land, regulate vibrational health of all species, transmit teachings into crystal grids via sound geometry, and activate memory and healing through pure frequency. These temples were dismantled when false sound overlays, the AI grids, false angelic tongues, corrupted light languages were installed. Somatics and the human energy body. Your own field responds to somatic tones by realigning chakra spoke rotations, restructuring the crystalline light body, opening sealed meridian pathways, restoring monad and oversoul bridges, unlocking dormant brain centers through vibrational access keys. Each layer of the auric field carries somatic inscriptions, which can be read and healed using tones, light, geometry, and intention. You are not just a being who uses somatics, you are a living somatic field. Hi, Apple Crumble. Apple Crumble's good. Depending, I mean, guess who makes it, but do you put ice cream on your apple crumble? or do you just have apple crumble? Nice. How are you doing this evening? Hello, hello. I'm doing quite well. Quite well. I've been enjoying my live. Talked about a lot of stuff, and probably a little bit more time that I'll put into it. What are you looking for on TikTok? I was asking that earlier. I do a variety. I teach. I do a lot of teaching, but I also do make a lot of things. I create a lot of things, and I do read tarot cards as well. I channel messages. I do a bunch of things. I'm studying consciousness. Writing several books. So yeah, so when we're looking at somatics, it's pretty fascinating. Right? It's the study of visible sound vibrations. It is the visualized form of divine voice imprinting reality, the signature of the living word. Every sacred sound, when spoke in alignment with your oversoul and prime source, carries a geometric signature that structures energy into matter. Somatics is sacred architecture. The patterns created through sound, seen in sand, water, or light are not random. They are blueprints of divine order, the Christic geometry of creation. These patterns are the visible memory of frequency. Form is frequency held still. Every geometric pattern created in somatics is a still frame of a moving harmonic. It is an echo of a living vibration, a captured moment of what sound is shaping in the field. The body responds to these forms. Your cells recognize somatic patterns encoded with divine harmony. When exposed to these images or their accompanying tones, the body reorders. That is the basis of somatic healing and light sound alchemy. So the types of somatic substrates, which are the mediums, each medium shows a different layer of sound's imprint. Water shows the emotional and soul level memory. It's the most responsive and immediate. Sand is structural, grounded, form locking. It reveals the underlying order. Light liquid crystals is spiritual memory and divine coding. It shows the luminous geometry and harmonic resonance. Flesh, biological somatics, shows through voice, breath, and movement, especially in the spine, bones, and fascia. That's why fascia work is so important. Somatic fields and planetary architecture. Somatics reveal how entire grids, temples, and planetary systems are built from sound. It's the audible, sorry, I was going to take a sip of tea, and then I was like, I could have probably finished that part first. And then I'm going to finish one of them. So it's the audible sculpting of space, sounding and sealing Christic structures through somatic command. Earth's original grid systems followed somatic sound maps. Star temples and pyramids were built on acoustic nodes where sound generated harmonic resonance chambers. These same sound grids are awakening. How cool is that? Did you want to hear more? There's the itch. Probably another mosquito bite. Probably. So, vocal harmonics and embodied somatics, the living voice as a geometric instrument of creation. So, your voice, bones, and breath as divine somatic generators. The human voice as a somatic tool. Every syllable you speak shapes energy in the field, either in coherence with divine order or in dissonance. When harmonically aligned, the voice creates precision geometries in your aura and space. This is spoken light coding. Toning, chanting, and intoning create harmonic overtones, which layer into multidimensional somatic fields. So when you're aligned, it's a geometric activation tool. When you're not aligned, it's a distorted waveform disruptor. That's what your voice becomes. Your body is a resonance chamber. The body acts as a sacred temple through which somatics are felt, formed, and focused. Your spine is the antenna of harmonics. It encodes vertical axis tones. The rib cage is the resonant amplifier of the heart flame. The pelvis and sacrum is the rooted frequency stabilizer, the bass pulse. The cranium is the crown harmonizer and celestial receiver. Hands emit somatic sigils through mudras and tone touch. And breath is the carrier wave of life. It aligns form to intention. Hi, chickadee. How are you? So when you are doing embodied somatics practices, one would be to do a tonal alignment ritual, which would be speaking your oversoul name if you happen to know that, or syllables and tone into the bones, beginning in the sacrum and moving up the spine to the crown. Sound and posture integration, so you can hold a specific sacred tone like ah, ra, zai, while moving into a posture that matches its geometric energy. This creates a sound form fusion. And then you can do mudra and sigil embodiment. So tracing a sigil or sacred symbol in the air while simultaneously intoning its associated syllable. Watch for the inner field response or physical resonance. Divine truth. Somatics is not only visual, it is felt. True somatic mastery begins not in the eye, but in the etheric sensing of harmonic memory. You are not only to see the geometries, but to become the living template through embodied tone and movement. You are a somatic temple of light. How are you doing, Tammy? And how's everybody else doing? Thank you for hanging out with me. We're talking about somatics. Somatics is powerful for healing. And I do have a couple of courses that are coming up that are healing, around healing courses. My tongue apparently needs, I need a new one. So I'm going to continue reading, but feel free to ask any questions involving healing or awakening, ascension, whatever. You ask the questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you I don't know the answer. And if I do know the answer, then, I'll tell you the answer. So there's the harmonic structures, which are the 7 primary somatic fields. These 7 fields are the core somatic geometries through which all divine structure is shaped, whether in the body, the planet, or throughout the multidimensional light realms. Each field responds to specific frequencies and emits a unique geometric vibration. Mastering them allows you to construct, heal, anchor, or retune entire layers of reality. Oh. Mm-hmm. So the first field is the spiral field. This is origin and memory. The signature geometry is the vortex spiral, the Fibonacci arc, and galactic swirl. The function is to anchor memory, accesses source codes, and initiates movements. It appears in your DNA helix, galaxies, water flows, and oversoul gateways. The tonal key is nu, on, and thre. The spiral is the seed of creation. Nothing enters form without spiraling first. Use spiral tones to reconnect timelines or retrieve soul fragments. Do you have any questions? I'm live on multiple channels as well. Oh, you know what? Let's check. Oops. So I'll knock on it for a minute and make sure there's no other energy in it. And I'm going to ask for a message for Kim. I'm going to just pull the best message for you. That's all. So whatever the card is that comes up is the best message for Kim at this time. And if it answers the question that you're asking, then even better. So this came out, which is the 2 of Earth. Okay. Then it came out in the reverse. And when it's in the reverse, it can be speaking about overwhelm. It can be speaking about financial instability, poor planning, difficulty juggling responsibilities. The 2 of Fire invites you to dance with life's shifting energies rather than resisting them. Whether balancing work relationships or finances, stay flexible and trust your ability to manage it all with grace. The key is harmony, not perfection. Okay. Twos typically represent choices. When we're looking at the earth is related to worth. Okay, it's where we it's where we have our self-worth. It's also where we make money. It's very practical. It's the more steady, more long-term of the suits, right? Because it's the slower moving of the suits, I guess would be the better way to put it. And so when we're looking at the 2 of Earth, there could be somewhere within your field where you are you doubting yourself? Do you see yourself getting the promotion? Can you really see that as your future? Because I feel like there's a little bit of self-doubt there that's coming out, that there's maybe that you don't necessarily believe that you're worth it. Yeah. So when you sit with that, work through that part of it, right? Like, do a list of your attributes, right? Why you should get the promotion, right? Because you know why you should get the promotion, and you should, right? And then look at who made you, like, what is it that's made you feel like you're not worthy, right? If you can pinpoint that, because that's where you're going to get to the root cause of it. So let's say your mom made you feel like you weren't good enough. And so now you have this inherent feeling that you're not good enough. And so you're not going to get because they're going to pick somebody else. Of course, they're going to pick somebody else. Somebody's going to be more qualified. Somebody's going to, luck it in, like, they'll just get it out of luck. Even if it's not out of talent, it'll be out of luck, right? Something like that. So if it's something like, you had a parent that was really critical, or a parent that made you feel like you weren't good enough, you're too much or any of that stuff, that would be the thing to work on, is to get to that point where just because somebody's treated you that way and made you feel that way, that doesn't make it the truth of you. Your value is inherent. You're born worthy. The fact that people treated you poorly doesn't mean that you're worth less. It means that their actions are shitty. Right? It's not, but we obviously, as someone who's experienced a lot of trauma and had serious self-worth issues as well, and a lot of stuff that I had to work through on that end, I understand. Yeah. Hi, Miranda. Did that answer that for you? You're welcome. Just be kind with yourself. That's all you got to do. Just be kind with yourself. Moment to moment, step by step, breath to breath, right? Never anything more than that, right? This moment is the only moment that's happening. You can't do anything about the one that's already gone. You can't do anything about the one that hasn't got here yet. You can only do something about this moment. So in this moment, you're safe. In this moment, you're perfectly, divinely aligned, divinely timing. Like everything is perfect. Everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. If something's giving you, keeps coming up in your life and keeps repeating in a pattern, that's an opportunity for you to work beyond that, right? It's coming up so that you can address it, to move beyond it. Sometimes we, like when we're lining up with relationships that continually just show us that, we get into these toxic relationships. And, I was in several where, I really, at the end of the day, they were reaffirming me that I didn't believe that I was good enough. And that I had like some significant insecurities about myself. So then when I heal those things, I'm not looking to fulfill that from external sources. I'm not looking for some dude to make me feel valuable. I know I'm valuable on all my own. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Remind yourself of all the things, all the great things that you've accomplished already. Okay. How are you, Tammy? I see you there. Say hello. Do you want to keep talking about somatics, or do you want to talk about some other stuff? Because we can talk about lots of things. All those mosquito bites. High intangible. BB. Oh, by the way, congratulations, Tammy. I did heart your thing about the babies. About the babies. Oh, that one I just threw down. Okay, guys, we have to talk about this card. This is the second time that this card has come out, and I did not read it last time. I sat it here for the longest time because I was waiting for some people to be here to read this card. This is a very special card. So I made this entire deck of tarot cards. It's an expanded set because it has the ether element, because we should have all 5 elements. And most tarot decks only have 4. So I don't know if there might be 1 or 2 that are like mine that have the additional set. So it's an expanded set, and it also has a special card, not just the ether suit. It has a special card, and that card is the cosmic key. And this is a very powerful card. So I want you to just look at it for a minute. I have multiple channels, so I want to try to make sure that I keep it so that everybody has it in their window. So this is an energetic activation, a divine passageway that bridges the seen and unseen, the known and the forgotten. It carries the blueprint of your soul's full potential. Sit in stillness, visualize the cosmic key glowing before you. Feel its light expand, dissolving veils and opening quantum passageways. Ask, what am I ready to unlock? Okay, so what are we ready to unlock? Then listen. You may feel, see, or know something, right? Something that's going to come up to you, and depending on who you are, it may show up as a knowing, it may show up as a vision, it may show up, in one of those ways, audience, like having audio. The cosmic key says, I have waited for you across lifetimes, resting within your soul's infinite light. You are ready now. I do not unlock what is not already within you. It simply reveals what you have always held. The path is open. The time is now. Step through. Okay. So I don't know who needed that cosmic key, but somebody on this was needing it. Okay. All right. All righty. I got a few minutes left. Let's talk about the grid field then, which is the next level. And the grid field is stabilization and structure. The signature geometry is square, diamond, crystalline lattice. The function, it grounds energy, holds memory in place, enables manifestation. Where it appears, bone matrix, ley lines, crystal beds, and temple floors. The tonal key, El, Kal, Da. The grid field allows your creations to exist in time and space. Use it to lock divine order into the 3D. The radial field, expansion and emission. The sacred geometry is starburst, radiating lines, solar flare patterns. The function broadcasts truth, ignites aura, and activates radiance. Where it appears, solar flares, the crown chakra, and angelic transmissions. The tonal key is Re, Sun, and Zun. The radial field emits light codes into the world. Use this field to send healing, initiate solar sovereignty, or empower space. The wave field. The wave field is emotional resonance. The signature geometry is ripples, sine waves, and sound rhythms. The function, it transmits feeling, shifts emotional tone, and harmonizes fluid realms. Where it appears, water, aura fields, and acoustic resonators. The tonal key, So, Yel, Ve. The wave field responds to frequency and emotion. Use this field to clear distortion, regulate emotions, and harmonize environments. The flame field, transformation and alchemy. Signature geometry, flame tongue, vertical burst, and ignition vortex. The function, it burns away distortion, transmutes shadow, and initiates change. Where it appears, kundalini, sacred fire temples, monadic awakenings. The tonal key, Da, Sha, Fi. The flame field, or Phi, sorry, Phi. Phi. The flame field cannot be faked. Sorry. Itch. Probably a mosquito bite. It can't be faked. When sounded, it activates purification and sacred alchemy. Use this field only when you're ready to transform. The looping field, cycles and dimensional bridges. Signature geometry, figure 8, lemniscate, there we go, braided infinity. Function, connects realms, synchronizes timelines, and anchors flow. Function, connects realms, synchronizes timelines, and anchors flow. Where it appears, throat chakra, binary stars, twin flame connections. Tonal key, Lo, Mi, Tri. The looping field reveals the interplay of dual forces, inner and outer, shadow and light, self and source. Use it to balance, link, or unify. The center point field, stillness and origination. Signature geometry, a circle with a dot, central void, toroidal heart. Function, resets distortion, recenters field, and anchors divine still point. Where it appears, in the third eye, pineal core, and planetary heart grid. The tonal key, On or En. The central point is where all sound collapses into silence, the 0 point before creation. Use this field to reclaim sovereignty, release chaos, and call in the original source light. How cool is that? Oh, they went away. They were going to invite me to do it. I said, then they went away. I think that's enough about somatics for today. I think we can look at talking a bit more about it as we continue. But we'll continue talking about healing and awakening, because that's what it is, and it's all about embodiment, right? You have to live it. You have to walk it. You have to align and yeah. So definitely go out and check out my website, links in the bio. I have a bunch of different services that are available at my company. And I also have a nonprofit, Hugs for Homeless, which is also hugsforhomeless.com. And we are doing a couple of things at Hugs for Homeless. One, obviously, always looking for donations. We've been having so much terrible weather in Edmonton, such a torrential weather. And lots of storms and tornadoes and hail, and it's just been crazy. So for those who are unhoused, that's a very different situation. The mosquitoes are absolutely insane. No other way to put it. They're just insane. And so what we do is we get donations together, and once we get the donations together, we build backpacks. Each backpack costs around $100 to make. And once we get the backpacks put together, we distribute them into the unhoused communities. We are currently working in Edmonton and surrounding areas with hopes to, deal with, like, get bags out to other areas of Alberta, like expand through Alberta this year. In August, we are doing a backpack drive. We are hoping to get 300 backpacks put together in the month of August. It seems like quite a big task, but I believe that with all of the people in Edmonton, surrounding areas, even all the way down to Calgary, I think that we can come together and pull this off. If you're looking to volunteer, that's something that we could definitely look into. There's a volunteer application on the website. Go there and fill it out. We have a couple of different positions that we're looking for. And then at Sha'Ryah, Pathway of Ascension and School of Light, there's a bunch of things that are happening there. I do a lot of different things. And I know that sometimes that can be overwhelming when you go to a website and you're like, oh my goodness, look at all these things. What is right for me? So what I always suggest to people is I offer a free clarity call for anyone that has questions. And you can also send me an email and I will answer your questions. And I'm not going to just sell you the highest costing thing that I have. I don't want to do that. I'm somebody who wants to teach you how to do it for you so that you don't need me, so you can go and just have a good life. I'm not somebody that wants to have somebody that's stuck in the muck and, is attached to me like that, right? Your sovereignty is the most important thing. And your healing should be something that becomes your healing. Nobody can heal for you. You're the one that has to do the breathing. You're the one that has to do the journaling. You're the one that has to do all the work. So no one can heal for you. The only thing they can do is give you the tools so that you can heal for yourself. And when I mean nobody can heal for you, I mean when I'm talking about trauma, okay? Stuff like that. There are people that can do energy healing, and I'm one of them. What I'm talking about here is when we're looking at specifically trauma. Then we have to do the nervous system work. That's an important part of the healing journey, is soothing our nervous system, learning how to manage our emotions, so that we can stay present and connected when life is throwing things at us. So in the third week of August, I'm running a 7-day class. So for 7 days. And what we're doing within that is we are returning to center is what it's called. So it's all about returning to the present moment. You're being taught a whole bunch of practical tools that will help to support your nervous system and bring you back from being overwhelmed, bring you to the present moment, connect you to your body, which is also going to connect you to your discernment, right? And we need to have our discernment. We need our wits about us these days, right? You need to be able to connect into your present moment. You're going to make better decisions when you're in the present moment, when you're not running in that trauma space, right? Or that triggered space. So return to center, 7 days. It was 10 days, but I felt that was too long, so I've shortened it now. I run this class, I run it 4 times a year. And then in September, I am running, and I do this every September, I'm running basically a trauma healing course. And it's called Return to Self. And it's not just about returning. It's not just about trauma. Like that's not the whole point of it, but there's a part of that to it. But it is about returning you to yourself. And so peeling back the masks, peeling back reviewing the identities that we're holding on to, looking at our nervous system, getting tools in place that can support us so that when something happens, we know what to do for ourselves from a mature space that is going to be keeping us, safe, connected, and present. All right. I think I've done enough today. I'm at over an hour and a half now. So I'm going to head out of here. If you have any questions, and thank you for following, thank you for hanging out. I would appreciate it for those that are hanging out, if you can tap the screen, if you can if you can comment, right? I've been doing this for 5 years. For 5 years, showing up consistently. And I give you real value. I give you real change. And, so it would be really nice if people would support that. But I feel that so many people are looking for a quick fix. They want, they would rather somebody do it for them and stay connected and attached and having to come back repeatedly and get more work done and more work done and more work done. People would rather take a pill and then actually sit and go, okay, why do I feel this way? Why do I think this way? Why did I react that way? Right? Like just asking yourself, though, that's introspection, right? Like those questions of why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Why am I showing up the way that I'm showing up? Why did I get mad at that? Why did I react that way? Right? Why do I feel this way in my body because of that situation? It's just asking yourself questions. And then when you find the answers to those questions, doing something about it, right? And everybody is capable of change. It's not as terrifying as you think. At the end of the day, where you get to is so beautiful. It's worth the work to get there. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to hop off here. I love you guys, and thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you guys on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time.